Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, I bead the lobster jacket, which is a lot more complicated than it looks. It took forever.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So here we have the lobster jacket. It's a quilting cotton fabric, and of course you have to pre-wash it. And then the pattern I used is Simplicity 9124, but it's quite modified. So this is what the one on the right is what it looks like, jacket A. And then I modified it, did a few tweaks and made the daisy jacket. And then I decided I might try it with smaller fronts, like I cropped the front, made the back bit shorter and made the sleeve shorter and also less baggy, less ease, so less wide as well as shorter, like cuff length shorter. And originally I was going to use these sort of medium large sequins on it, and then I decided to use beads. So I was like, okay, the beads are heavier than sequins, so I'll have to use 2 layers of netting for the structural layer. So in the lobster jacket video, I cut everything out, I put it all together, I sew in the lining. I don't sew up the underarms or the sides of the jacket, but I just pinned it together so I could put it on the mannequin to show you what it looks like. And I'm just comparing the lobster jacket to the daisy jacket here. I don't really like these sleeves. I feel like as soon as I did it, I was like, no, I prefer the daisy ones. But I didn't know that until I made this jacket. So, yeah. So anyway, now it is time so if you want to see how to put it together, you can watch the lobster jacket video. But in this one, we're just going to do the beading. So what I'm doing is I've got these animal beads, but I don't quite have enough. So then I also had to get out some mauve beads, and I've got mauve shells, I've got mauve square tiles with little splodges of gold on them, and then I've also got these mauve faceted hearts. And the camera doesn't really pick it up, but it's because the blue of the background of the lobster fabric is a periwinkle blue, it sort of the mauve matches. And then I've got the animal beads, the mauve beads, some blue round glass beads, but also some seed beads. So my workbench is once again an absolute mess of all different types of beads, and of course I keep knocking them over. But anyway, so I had to actually count out all the beads to make sure that I had enough, and I just kept adding mauve ones so that I could have enough. Eventually I had enough, and then I started beading, and obviously it was at night, but I was so excited I actually did some that I took the footage anyway. So yeah, with my scrap leftover bit of fabric, that's what I used as my beading mat, because they kept most of them around, they kept rolling off everywhere. So yeah, I started on one side and I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it this way, that way once I finished half I can put it on the mannequin and show you what it looks like. But oh my gosh, this beading takes so long. I don't know why. I just keep thinking that beading won't take a long time. It clearly does every single time, especially since I keep adding elements. Like at first I was like, oh, I'll just use up the animal beads, and then there weren't enough. So I was like, added the mauve beads, and I was just going to do those ones, the animal beads and the mauve beads. But then, yeah, there was too much of a gap in between. So that's when I added the round bluish grey beads and transparent ones, and then it was still too many gaps in between, so that's why I added the little spikes of seed beads. And it's amazing. A little later on I'll do the other side and I'll show you what it looks like with just the animal beads, what it looks like when I start adding the round ones and the spikes of beads. But this is sort of all done, but it needs more spikes of beads. And yeah, it's just, I don't know why I keep taking footage. I just, it takes so long to do the beading that I forget that I've already filmed some bits. But yeah, as you can see, I hardly do any between each. Like I do a couple of threads and then I pick up the camera and shoot a bit, and then I do a few more threads. But then I got to the point where I just threaded like 10 or 15 threads at once. And here's a little bit of a close-up so you can see the little spikes of seed beads that I've put on there. There's there's either 2 or 3 in a little stack of seed beads. And this is where it's sort of half done. Not really, the back isn't done. But from the front, it sort of looks like half of it's done. You can see here I started using pink, hot pink, magenta coloured in the stacks of seed beads. Whereas on the front, it was just mauve, purple, blue, dark blue and black. Because I want to use the seed bead mix. I want to use all the pastel coloured ones in one design, maybe. So I was basically just trying to use up anything that wouldn't go with the pastel design. So I decided once I would finish the whole of this particular sleeve, then I would have done enough to do pin it up and put it on the mannequin and show you what half beaded and half unbeaded looks like. At this point I was tempted. I've got some transparent glass orange seed beads, and I was tempted to do a few rows on the back of the each lobster, but I don't know, this is enough. I'll finish all the jacket with this type of beading, and then if I still feel the need to put orange seed beads in rows across the lobster, I'll do it. But I'll just do this first before I decide to complicate things even more. And I kind of like that the lobsters are at a different dimension, like at a different level. I think if I added beads to the lobster, it would just, I don't know, at the moment it gives your eye different levels to look at, and that makes it interesting. Whereas if I added the seed beads, I think you would probably not notice the lobsters as much, because there would be less of a difference between the depths of the lobster, which is quite deep down now, and the rest of the beading. Anyway, so then I decided that I would put a triangle on the back, because the back is quite cropped. So if you just did normal beading on it, it would be relatively lighter than the longer front, just because there's more fabric on the front to bead, and therefore it's heavier. So by adding the triangle on the feature on the back, I add weight, and that way the front and the back are even, which is when you're beading or embellishing, that's what they're supposed to, the weight should hang. If you hang the piece on a coat hanger, there should be equal weight on the front and the back and the left and the right. So, and that way it will age well, like the entire garment will age the same way. That's the theory behind it. So then I finished it, plus this looks awesome. So I finished the red beads. I was thinking about doing them a different colour, because as I said, the background of this lobster fabric is that periwinkle sort of purplish blue, and I do have these beads, and I mean, what else am I going to use them on? I do have quite a few of them, so I guess I can use them on something. But yeah, I was thinking about using these ones, but I'm actually really glad that I went with the red in the end. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to use these ones on. But they are a nice mix of beads. I just don't think there's enough to do a whole jacket. So I think there'll probably end up being a feature, a triangle on the back of something else. Anyway, so now this is me doing the second side. Obviously I unpinned it and put it back on the workbench. And this is what I mean by laying down 3 layers of beads. So this is the animals and the mauve beads. So they're all similar weights. And then yeah, once all of these were done, then I started doing the watery coloured beads, the round glass beads. And then once I've done more of the round glass beads, then the next thing I do will be adding the spikes of the seed beads, which, oh my gosh, there's just so much work in this. Okay, I'm going to go do some beading now, and I'll be back when it's almost done, I suppose. Oh my goodness, this is taking forever. So at this point I've done a bit, and in a second I'll show you that I've finished this whole second side, and I'm working back on the first side because this second side is very heavy with the seed beads and the round bluey greyish ones as well. So then I have to go back to the first side, but I run out of seed beads in the correct colours. So yeah, those are the seed beads, the multicolored ones, and I was only really using the magenta, the purple, the mauves, the light mauves, the black, and some of the dark brown, some of the dark blue. So yeah, now I did some more on the first side. I was just scrounging around and finding some more beads, seed beads. So now I'll just pin up the sides of this. It's still not finished. The whole of the back isn't finished. I'll show you in a second. But I'm just getting some of those teeny tiny brass safety pins and pinning the sides of the jacket and the under sleeves together. And we will pop it on the mannequin. Here we go. This just looks so completely different to what their lobster fabric looked like. It's amazing. So I think I'll move the ivory one because the daisy one and this one here both came from the same pattern. They're just variations of the same pattern, the 9124 Simplicity Jacket A. So yeah, I definitely like the sleeves of the daisy one better. I think the length of those daisy sleeves will cover the side, the mismatch of the side. Like I do like that the front of the jacket is longer than the back of the jacket, but I think it looks a little awkward from the side, from the silhouette. So once it has longer sleeves again, then that mismatch won't be apparent, and that will be fine. Oh, this is me saying with the little spikes of little rows of seed beads, it kind of looks like a cactus. So I think I'll do one of these jackets in green, olive green, and then use these metallic olive green seed beads all over it, and it'll look like a cactus. It'll be amazing. I'm just gonna have to like not work next year and just make jackets for myself. Yeah, that sounds feasible. Anyway, so this has the gigantic, I think I went a bit overboard with the size of this. This is me just showing you the spiky little bits of the seed beads. I think I went a bit overboard with the size of the triangle, but it does look awesome. I just think in the next ones I might make it a tiny bit smaller. But yeah, I like the weight of the beads on the sleeve as well. And I prefer the daisy, how the two fronts meet. I prefer that than this one here. It just showcases the beads more effectively, I think. And I don't think once I finished all the beading all over it, I don't think I'll bead the lobsters. I like that they're in relief, like they're so much lower than the rest of the beading. I think that's cool. Anyway, next episode you'll probably see me getting out all my jacket patterns and deciding which one's next. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 jackets that I've never done before, do mock-ups of them for this month, and then next month is Vlogmas, where you make a video a day. So a mock-up takes less time than making an actual jacket and takes way less time than beading a jacket. So yeah, I'll probably have to get out 10 patterns to do over the next few months. So I'll decide which 10 in the next episode, then start actually making them. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my painfully slow beading of this lobster jacket. Is it worth doing the beading when it takes so long? I think so. I mean, just look at that daisy jacket. It's completely adorable. And this is the unbeaded lobster jacket. And ta-da! It kind of looks completely beaded. It's not yet, but it will be eventually. As long as I don't run out of beads again. I had to scrounge around and find some more. I think I've got enough to do the whole thing. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Anyway, thanks again for watching and happy sewing and beading.